Well, that turned out to be a very interesting game in the end. I mean, it certainly didn't start that way, but in the end, it is Austin Stacks who progressed through to the Kerry Senior Football Championship final. They win the game on penalties. And I mean, certainly after 50 minutes of watching this game, or 52, 53 minutes, you were probably pulling the hair out of your head in many ways. You were kind of wondering, was anything significant really going to happen in this game? Was there going to be a big moment? Was there going to be someone who was going to stand up and, I suppose, take the game by the scruff of the neck, the old saying? And it happened, and it was a bit of a bizarre moment, really, where, of course, it was, a free from Dara O'Brien. It was flicked on from O'Donnell, hit the post, and then hit the goalkeeper, the back of the goalkeeper, and went in the back of the net. And that was really sort of the first big moment, really, in the game at all, because I mean, we certainly had a lot of drama in the game, but we just had to wait a while to get it. But it was Austin Stacks who won the game in the end on penalties, 5-3 on penalties, and it finished 2-9 to 112 in regulation time, of course, or after extra time, I should say, before eventually going on to penalties. And yet, this is the match reaction, of course, here on GAA Fan TV, where I react after the games live, share my opinions and thoughts, and interact with some of you lads down in the comments below. So if you could leave a like and subscribe, I would really appreciate it if you're new to the channel. And if you're already subscribed, then thank you very much. I do very much appreciate it. And yeah, if you're watching this live, if you could, drop some comments in, let me know what your thoughts were on this game and what you think now for Austin Stacks progressing into their first Kerry Senior Football Championship final since 2014. Well, look, listen, at the start of the game anyways, I mean, it wasn't a great game to begin with, was it? Definitely both sides hadn't settled into their flow. It was overly defensive. I think the fact that you had Stefan Ockenbohr, hopefully I pronounced his name right there, marking Kieran Donaghy. Stefan was named a wing forward, and then he's marking a full forward in Kieran Donaghy. And to be fair, Kieran Donaghy was dropping quite deep into the midfield at different stages as well in the game. But it was certainly in the first half, you were waiting for this game to click into gear. You were waiting for this game to click into life. And unfortunately, you had to wait about an hour or so before that eventually happened. I mean, both sides just were missing chances. Dara O'Brien missed a couple of early frees. And you could see Austin Stacks had the majority of the possession. They were the side with the ball the majority of the time, working it from side to side. A lot of, I suppose, lateral hand passes, looking to create the space, looking to create the chances. And to be fair, I did feel like there was scoreable opportunities for both sides on multiple occasions in the first half, but they just opted not to go for the effort, or chances were dropping short. And, you could see even by watching the game that obviously there was quite a breeze in the first half, and that was quite notable in the first half. And certainly Austin Stacks struggled a little bit in the first half to really, I suppose, get their kicking game going. And, it was a very even game. Obviously, Stefan Ockenbohr scored that brilliant point early on, and you thought that would set the tone for the game, but it didn't really. That turned out to be his only point in the game. And, as I said before, both sides were very defensive. And you can understand that, Austin Stacks have been, I suppose, they've had a very good defense this year. Dylan Casey, who was obviously highlighted before the start of the game, was very impressive. And, they are quite a defensive side. They kept East Kerry out for a majority of that game before the closing stages. And obviously done a great job against South Kerry as well. And, some of their defenders in there, like Dylan Casey, Connor Jordan, Jack O'Shea is a very notable player as well. He's been brilliant at getting forward and contributing a couple of points as well. And their game plan was working to a certain extent. But it was Austin Stacks, I felt like, in the first half and in the second half, that were taking the game more to St. Brendan's. I thought St. Brendan's were very defensive, and when they had the ball, they were trying to break with pace, and it just wasn't working. They were doing okay in their own kickouts. They were winning a bit of ball here or there, but they just couldn't really find enough options in attack. Other than Ivan Parker, who definitely probably stood out, you'd have to say, from a St. Brendan's point of view. He scored 1-5 on the day in total, and he was certainly very impressive, no doubt about it. And really, it wasn't until the 56th minute, as you'd say, that this game really did click into life. As I said before, it was a free from Dara O'Brien, flick on from O'Donnell, ends up hitting the post, comes back off the goalkeeper, goes into the back of the net, and you're watching it from there, and you're thinking, surely Austin Stacks are going to win this game from now, because it was a 3-point lead, and there'd only been 6 points apiece up until that moment. And you were waiting for a big moment to happen, and you always hear this expression, once there's a goal in the game will open up, and suddenly then, teams need to take a bit more of a risk. Players will need to take more of a risk. They'll need to play that extra pass. They'll need to take that extra chance. They'll need to take more risks. And you were waiting for something like that to happen, a big goal or something, just to liven up the game and make it a little bit more interesting. And unfortunately, we had to wait 56 minutes because once this goal went in, you could see straight away that St. Brendan's started going more on the front foot. They realised we're 3 points down with 4 minutes to go. There's still a bit of extra time, obviously, of course, to play as well. And, obviously they'd only hit 6 points up until that point. So now they needed to get, half of that exact same amount in the final couple of minutes. It was going to be a big, big task. And you felt like with Austin Stack's defence that they'll surely be able to see it through. But like for Austin Stacks, as good as they are defensively, they have had a bit of an issue closing out games. East Kerry, they conceded a late goal in that game, a couple of late points, just about got over the line. But it does seem to be in the final 5 to 6 minutes or so that they do seem to struggle in closing out games compared to how well defensively they're set up in, I suppose, the start of the game and in the middle quarter. And Ivan Parker hit a couple of brilliant points in extra time or in injury time. That obviously forces the game to extra time. And St. Brendan's at the start of extra time were certainly the side that were kicking more and more into gear, no doubt about it. They were very impressive, hit a couple of points. But then, of course, obviously, Sean Quilter gets that goal for Austin Stacks, and you're thinking, again, another kind of bizarre goal, a long, it looks like he's going for the point. It floats over the keeper's head. And, at that point, you're thinking, right, Austin Stacks are going to kick on and win it. But then Ivan Parker gets himself a goal, and you think, surely they're going to win it. And it made for, a bit of entertainment. And unfortunately, it took, 56 minutes to get that entertainment. But once we seen it in extra time, it made for a very interesting viewing. And you were thinking St. Brendan's are going to win the game. But then Austin Stacks get that late point from Darragh O'Brien. He then has a free, which he misses a couple of minutes after that as well. And they could have probably won the game in extra time. And it goes to penalties. And of course, penalties is probably, it's a divided opinion amongst people in the GAA. Some people want to see Penos. Some people want to see replays. Personally, to begin with, I definitely didn't want to see replays or I didn't want to see penalties in Gaelic football because I felt like it was, I suppose, not, it's not what Gaelic football is about, kicking it off the ground. The skill of Gaelic football is essentially kicking it out of your hands, hand passing it. There are some skills to Gaelic football when you kick it off the ground, but usually it's only from place balls as such. So originally I wasn't too happy with there being penalties, in all honesty. But I think, to be honest, it makes sense because you want to get the games over and done with. You want to progress on. I think we can't be having more replays. And, we're beginning to go into the All-Ireland Club Football Championship now. So we need to get these games over and done with. So penalties it was. Ivan Parker misses his first penalty after having a cracking game. And undoubtedly the man of the match, in my opinion. Like, he scored 1-5, 2 points from place balls. Man of the match, in my opinion. He was absolutely brilliant. But unfortunately misses his penalty, and that gave Austin Stacks the advantage in the initiative. They obviously scored all of their penalties, and it was none other than Kieran Donaghy, who was quiet enough throughout the game. He didn't score. He was involved quite a lot in terms of hand passing, and he obviously took up Stefan Ockenbohr, who, of course, had to mark Kieran Donaghy, and he wasn't allowed to get forward as much as he would have been in previous games. So, or obviously he came back from the AFL, but in terms of, if he wasn't marking if Kieran Donaghy wasn't on the pitch, maybe he would have had a little bit more license to get forward a bit more. And yeah, that's how it finished. Austin Stacks got the victory in the end. Just running through some of the scorers. Darragh O'Brien with 6 points, 3 of them from place balls. Sean Quilter with 1-2. There was an own goal in there, as we said before. Brendan O'Sullivan got himself a point as well. For St. Brendan's, Ivan Parker with 1-5, 2 points from place balls. Stefan Ockenbohr with a point. James Duggan, Andrew Barry, Dan Goggin, Owen O'Brien, Thomas Kearns, and David O'Callaghan all getting on the score sheet as well. Interesting enough, St. Brendan's had twice the amount of scorers as Austin Stacks, and certainly in extra time looked like they were a little bit more lively, in my opinion. But it was Austin Stacks who did, of course, go on to get the victory on penalties. A few comments coming in there. Shane United says penalties a cruel way to lose. Yeah, it's always a cruel way to lose in any sport, whether it be penalties or soccer. But it is what it is. I think it's the right decision to have the penalties right now because we need to get these games over and done with, in my opinion. Biggest game of the weekend in Kerry tomorrow, Sennons versus Fanoog. Hopefully I said that right, in the first round of the North Kerry Championship. On the Sennons, yeah, best of luck to both teams there. Hopefully hopefully the result goes your way for whatever team you're supporting there. So hopefully that works out. But yeah, I suppose to conclude, fair play to Austin Stacks. Are they All-Ireland contenders? I mean, it's going to be tough. We'll see how they get on against either Dr. Crokes or Cairns O'Rahilly's. They'll probably go into that game as favourites, I would imagine. Defensively, very well set up. Probably just need a little bit more going forward, in my opinion. Going to be very tough coming through Munster, no doubt about it. Obviously, you've got Clonakilty in that Cork final there at the minute. So we'll see how they get on. But there is a potential for them to come through. And I think whoever comes through Kerry, with the fact that Nemo Rangers got knocked out in Cork, whoever comes through Kerry will be the favourites to win the Munster Club Football Championship. No more divisional sides in there as well. So whoever wins this will be going into the Munster Club Football Championship. That's 100% confirmed. So they will go in as favourites, and who knows? We'll see what happens. But yeah, cheers anyone who tuned in, left a comment. If you could leave a like and subscribe, I'd appreciate it. More match reactions out tomorrow for the Dublin final, Mayo final, and I'll be having a look at some of the provincial knockout games taking place as well. So yeah, very much appreciate it, and I'll see you all later.